I remember when I had to work, I got a job. It was 7 years ago, and this is my first, you know, job out of my master's degree. And we had to fly to Tallahassee for a week of training. And that is the same week my first daughter, Destiny, was turning 1. I boo-hoo cried all the way to Tallahassee. The day of her birthday, I boo-hoo cried in the training. I was a hot mess because I felt so guilty of not being there, because I felt like I was a bad mom. How could you, not be there for your daughter's first? And this was our first child. And anybody knows the story. It was a tumultuous pregnancy to get Destiny here. And so I had this guilt. Does anybody else feel that guilt of sometimes having to, whether it's, let's talk about it, serve in ministry, let's be real. And sometimes having to not be there all the time. Number one, in past years, we gave so many hours in ministry in so many different ways. Our kids had to stay back after church for hours. Come on, somebody. Whilst they were hungry, and then we sit down and wait. Sit down and wait. We are ministering to our sister so and so, and they had to sit and wait. Yes, you are serving my people. What about the kids? What do you want their memory of church to be like? Long hours before and after church, being hungry, and be. Is that the memory we're creating? I tell you, God gave me a full-on talking, and so really, it's that fear, but also that motive piece that really, really drives us to be truly authentic in our serving in ministry. I am absolutely not the only person in this world that God could use. And sometimes, if we make space, step aside just for a little bit, you're going to see who God brings up and who he's been grooming in the background, waiting to be used for his honor and glory. Anybody? Yeah, a number of you had stepped into
I want to jump in here, Pastor Cindy, because like so many like very important points were brought up by the other ladies, and I'm like, yep, that's me. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I'm reminded. I had this moment with God where God strategically gave me a vision for a particular event that we had to do with the ministry, and I remember talking to you, Pastor Cindy, about it, and I said to you, for the first time serving in ministry, I was able to clearly understand what God was saying for that particular thing. And God said, Sidoni, my vision is bigger than you. Mm. And so in that moment of God speaking that to me and revealing that to me, he made it very clear that even though I may have given you the vision for a particular event, you may not be the one to undertake the vision, to execute it.
Wow.
And we see that in the life of King David and his son Solomon. David was given the blueprint, given everything, all the resources, but he was not the one who built it. And so God said to me, Sidoni, my vision is bigger than you, even though you may just be a mouthpiece to the vision. And that's one of the things that we have to learn to be settled with. God, even you're serving in ministry, you may be the leader of that ministry. You may not be the one called upon in that moment to execute that vision. And so that's something that really, really, really settled with me. But I'm happy when God spoke that particular thing to me. My vision is bigger than you. Let's see who will execute it.
I absolutely love that. Wow. We're moving into our next question. And it's, what are some parallels, similarities? Do you see any mirroring between serving as a mother and also serving in ministry? Do you see any similarities? Do you see them as completely different? And how do you pull one into the other, or do you keep them separate?
Well, I think
Roseanne,
they're parallel to me. I think about, the first two words that came to me was like patience and faith. Because growing up kids, you need patience and faith. Okay. And in ministry, you need patience and faith also.
Amen.
So, one thing that I always pray for, because is patience, dealing with my son, because I was snappy in the beginning. I easily, got impatient, and even now, I kept on praying and asking God for patience and understanding, how to understand him and how to, understand myself at the same time. The two areas that's parallel to me, patience, growing up dealing with your kids,
Yeah.
and the patience in ministry, patience, you're gonna meet a lot of different personalities, people when you go out there. And if you don't have patience, it's not gonna work. No one's gonna listen to you. And faith in yourself, faith in God, trusting in God, knowing that he will direct your path.
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
you know at, as parents, you're worrying, am I making the mistake, am I making a mistake? Well, what am I doing wrong, what am I doing right? And it's the same thing in ministry. You come and you talk, even here on this platform, and I hope I don't say anything wrong. And you go out and you minister, you evangelize. And even just meeting someone, posting something on social media, you don't want to say the wrong thing, you don't want to do the wrong thing. And it's the same with your kids. I'm like, okay, I think
That's
wrong, I need to correct that. And you look into yourself. So I it it all goes down, for me, it all boils down to patience and faith, and they're both parallel in both areas.
Wow. Wow. Rosanna, you touched on something that I thought was amazing, and I want us to kind of dive into that a little bit more. One of the parallels that you mentioned is this idea of correctness, always being correct, whether it's in ministry and whether it's in motherhood. And that adds a different layer to me of pressure on us as women. You said, if I post something on social media, is that going to be correct? Or if I share my faith in a particular setting, is that going to be offensive? But then you're also worrying, did I say something that is going to traumatize the child for the rest of their life, and they're going to be in therapy at 21 and talking about me to their therapist? Oh my God! And now they're going to have issues and dysfunctional relationships. Am I alone? I mean, come on now. Come on, you could Google everything now and everybody's in therapy. So, so this idea of, like we're in auto zone of always trying to be correct, tipping over into this perfectionism idea, which honestly, it can be very dysfunctional if we take a look at it, if we're operating in this correct mode all the time. What do you guys think? That's an interesting parallel. I love it. Who wants to go? Deandra? Or Mandy? Go ahead.
Well, I must say that being correct is not always the right way, especially with kids and being in ministry, because it shows that you're human, especially in ministry. So I remember I quoted the wrong thing in the Bible one time during class, and none of the women, if the women caught on to it, they probably didn't say anything. And I may have messaged you, Cindy, about it. I think I did. And I felt so bad, like that how could I make this mistake? I know the word. How could I make this mistake? And God had to show me that I'm human, and they're able to relate to me because I make mistakes. Just because I'm the leader of the class doesn't mean that I don't mistakes. I don't make mistakes. I know the word inside out. Absolutely not. It allows me to relate to the women in a different way. With my kids, it's the same thing. I don't always have to be correct, but knowing when to apologize when you're not correct. That's important. And in both settings, yes, it's or knowing when to not even apologize, but to correct yourself and say, hey, I was wrong about this. This is how it should have been done. Or what do you think about it? So, and in both areas, it's parallel. So I must say, thank you for bringing that up. That's a very good point, Roseanne.
Yeah, excellent point. Anyone else want to chime in on that point?
No, I think that was top notch. Roseanne, perfectionism is something that I have struggled with for a long time, and it was to the point where it would get debilitating because I wouldn't start things because I know that I'm not able to do it perfectly, and that's whether it's in ministry or motherhood. And it at some point it's like the Lord was like, okay, this is turning into pride because you want to be perfect in everything because you want to look good and you don't want anyone to talk about you. And so all of that had to be broken to where like now I don't have, like, God literally snatched control out of my hands going into this law program. And so I have had to really, it has really humbled me. It's still humbling me. It's still humbling me. But it has really humbled me to where it's like, now, okay, you're not going to be perfect at everything. Everything's not going to go great. Whether you're in motherhood or whether it's in ministry, you're not always going to be, looking exactly how you want, every hair in place. Your kids are not always going to be looking exactly how you want, every hair in place. It's not going to be like that. And funnily enough, there are so many women out there who you see them kind of freeing themselves from this shackle of perfectionism. You see this kind of pushback now because women are starting to realize, and I'm starting to realize, that it's bondage. It really is bondage. It stops you from being free to just be present with your family and being present in ministry. You're not present in the presence of the Lord because you're like, oh Lord, did I say this right? Did I quote the wrong scripture? Is somebody gonna put it in the comments on YouTube?
Come on now. Come on.
And so you completely miss out on, it's so much going on. And so you have to allow God to just free you from that. And so thank you, Roseanne, for sharing, because that is definitely an area that I know that I struggle with. I know a lot of other women in ministry and in motherhood have been struggling with.
Wow. Deandra, you done preach a message. You done said perfectionism moves into pride, and it robs us from being present in motherhood and in ministry. And let me tell you, and that's all. We were talking about parallels. We're in a P zone. This is P segment here. Parallels, perfection, pride, and it robs us from being present. And you said something that is so, I can exhale, because I was in bondage to perfectionism.
Yeah.
And my name is, you know how you the first step to recovery is admitting. Yeah, we all should put, at some level, we were all, yes.
Yeah.
The first step. And let me tell you, Pastor D, thank you for saying that, because, as a pastor's wife as well, there is this invisible expectation that is placed on me when I'm telling you, I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. I pushed back against it. I denied it, but the expectation just came, and it stifled me to the point. And I share this with someone, a couple of you, I believe, online, that I would literally, and I'm being totally transparent, would go home at night and grind my teeth with anxiety because of the pressure of this sense that I had to be perfect. And the thing about it is, the perfection had so many duplicities to it, because what Sidoni, I'm just not saying that you did this to me, but your idea of perfection from me may have looked like something totally different to Roseanne. So now my being was divided and slaughtered up into so many different ideals of perfectionism, where I even begin to lose, who in the world are you? Who are you? And it brought on serious, I went through a season of anxiety. And that's why I tell people I don't have any issues sharing that part of my story until, I'm telling you, blessed, listen, you see that pandemic? It was the worst of times, but it was also the best of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are alone, away from the world and from people, and you are forced to look at you and God in prayer, so many things came up. So many. I could say today, I have not grind my teeth from anxiety. And I'm saying this by faith in well over going into 2 years now. And it's a blessing because my poor teeth are thanking me. And I'm not making light because this is a serious thing that is one of the symptoms for some people with anxiety. And so I had to free myself, as Pastor DeAndre said, from the idea of perfectionism. Now, I'm not playing victim because I allowed it.
Yeah.
I had a choice to say no. I had a choice to say, no, I can't fulfill that. No, that's not who I am. So I'm not going to, as Sidoni told me one time, I am not going to turn myself into a pretzel trying to fulfill, I am no. And so while I am now on the other side, I realized that I was complicit in it as just as well. And that takes a lot of God's deliverance to come to that understanding. What do you guys think? Oh my God.
Okay, I want to just jump in here because my entry into ministry was, I was in the world. Okay. I was raw, coarse, extremely rough around the edges, but I could put on an absolutely awesome facade as having it all together. I'm in it to win it. Okay. And so I came into ministry with a mindset from the world. Listen, if you don't like me from day one, there's nothing at all that I'm going to do for you to like me now. So let's just get that right out. That's it right off the bat. And this is who I am. And so it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because they were like, oh my gosh, she's not ministry material. Like she's not. Oh, how dare. And it was such an extremely challenging transition. I personally wasn't well received. But then as time went on, one of the things that God really started to speak to me about was not taking onto myself a burden of expectation, because I started to take it on and God was like, no, that's religion. I'm calling you to relationship. So, and I'm like, God, I gotta look like this. I gotta be able to speak like this. I gotta be able to, and God is like, yeah, no, but that's religion. You fake it till you make it with religion. Religion will tell you to fake it until you make it. But a relationship, there are going to be highs, there are going to be lows, there are going to be mountains, there are going to be valleys, there are going to be hiccups along the way. You're going to feel like you fell off the horse. You get up, apologize, keep moving. And God had to say, Mr. Donnie, so what, you made a mistake. Apologize, correct it, keep moving.
Wow. Because
I would get so... when I started to give into the pressures of people's expectations and the burden, that burden was just so hard for me to carry. And like you said, Pastor Cindy, I began to say, God, I'm not being the authentic Sidoni that you created. You called me into this and you loved me with an everlasting love. So why now am I seemingly bending myself in a pretzel to please all these people? For what? Out of what? Religion? And God is like, that is the point I've been trying to make. And so he said to me, having faith and trust in me, God Sidoni, will cause you to release the burden of expectation. And I really had to say, God, you got to show me this in your word. You got to bring me in the word. And so I went to Proverbs 3:5. And it's the proverb that speaks about trusting in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. When we give into the burden of expectations, we're leaning into our own understanding, because that's not what God desires of us. Of course, God expects us to serve in ministry, to serve in our homes as wives, as mothers, to our children with a level, as you would always teach us, Pastor Cindy, excellence and humility, right? But that whole burden of expectation, it is called a burden of expectation for a reason. Mm-hmm. And God tells us, listen, take my burden upon you. Take it upon you. Take my yoke upon you, because my burden is light. The burden of expectation, according to the world standard, I believe is what's causing a lot of people to walk away from ministry. It's pushing a lot of people to walk away in search of this authentic relationship with God, because they're realizing now this can't be it. This can't be it. I made a mistake and you're willing to kill me? Like, this can't be it. So that's my 2 cents.
Wow. You know, this session, this topic rather, it has so many different, you know, avenues we could take with it. And I guess the main takeaway is, and we're all nodding our heads, I could see them on the screen, the ladies on the screen, is that, you know, one of the greatest parallels in serving in ministry and in motherhood as well is to show up as you, the person that God created you to be. And so there might be somebody right now that is watching this and is struggling with having to put on different masks, you know, while they have to put on different titles. But God chose you the same way he chose Moses with a speech impediment to lead the children from Israel from bondage, the same way he chose cussing Peter to be one of the greatest evangelists, the same way he has chosen you and I to serve in ministry, not to be perfect, but to, as Pastor DeAndre said, to remain present in his presence, and he will do the rest.